right, well let's talk a little Tom Petty weekend.
Okay.
Which and for the listeners, Dan and I already did this, but for the second time in my podcasting experience in the last 3 years, Zoom decided to puke and die and lose our recording. So Dan very, very kindly, graciously said he would jump back on again. So October 19th to 22nd, we're going to be ramping things up for the Tom Petty weekend again.
Yes, 4 days. Starting with a VIP on Thursday night with three outstanding performers. And this is only open to the diamond and the gold. Maybe a few silvers might get in. We'll see.
Yeah.
They get first dibs on that one, and the diamond VIP ticket holders get to meet the artists afterwards and have a picture. And the three artists are Jake Thistle, Jeff Slate, and Joe Crookston. And each of those are remarkable performers, and people will be very impressed.
And I mean, my listeners would definitely be familiar with Jake because Jake's built a very sort of, loyal following within the Tom Petty fan base. Jeff Slater, likewise, has been a guest on my podcast. But tell us about Joe Crookston. Who's he?
Joe is a singer-songwriter from Ithaca, New York. Very earnest, emphatic man, just amazing singer. But he also is a painter.
Okay.
He's kind of a Renaissance man, and but he's got like 6 or 7 albums out.
Okay.
I really love his music. I've seen him. He's come to Gainesville a few times, and we've been very impressed. Great stories. He's got a story about his dad that went to work on a building runways on this remote island that turned out to be where the Enola Gay took off to land the Hiroshima or the atomic bomb in Japan War II. And the way he tells it is great. Just a terrific story. But he's got so many great stories. He's just a great storyteller. So anyway, so that's Joe. And then getting to our headline act is Shovels and Rope. And we have gotten the most amazing feedback from people that have seen them. They're like, oh my God, these guys are great. I was talking to someone that saw them recently, like a week or so ago, and they were saying they really get the crowd going.
Okay.
They really driving beat. And it's a husband and wife. That's it. The husband plays drums, sings percussion. She plays guitar and sings. And we've gotten real positive feedback. Is someone flashing a light at you?
No, I'm switching between screens because I like having lots of information for when I'm doing these interviews. So it's just you can ignore it. It's just my monitor. Yeah.
Okay. And as far as and then we have Jake Thistle, who will be playing with a band, and Jeff Slate playing with the band. And they're going to back up the All-Star set at the end of Saturday night.
Right.
The band that headlines Friday night, Matcha. Oh my gosh. Great. Well, they have 3 horns. They have a dense, big sound and the singer is terrific voice. Very, very impressive. The crowd will really get into them. But we've been looking at our lineup and we're just like blown away how many great people we have performing. Another one is Shine, who will be having a great backup band, and she's just amazing entertainer.
Yeah.
Everyone that has seen her just like, oh, Shine. Oh my gosh. So let's see here. Who else do we have?
I was going to say though, quickly too, though, what I love about that too is already just in the artists that we've talked about, that's a diverse range of musicians and musical styles and backgrounds and, ages. So you've got this real sort of broad stroke of like different, and so people are not going to hear the same thing over and over and over again is what I'm getting at, right? So when you come down to Tom Petty weekend, you're going to hear something different with each performer that hits the stage.
Yes, we do try to limit how many times you hear Mary Jane's Last Dance,
Right.
and that sort of thing. But the thing about it is we're not hiring tribute acts.
Yeah.
That we're hiring people that perform their own stuff, that are talented in their own way, but they love Tom Petty so much that they're willing to drop their ego some and perform some of Tom's songs,
Yeah.
because they respect him so much. And I mean, our mission is to honor and respect Tom, and we felt that was the best way we could do it, not just pander to the easy acts
Yeah.
that are great. Don't get me wrong, there's some great tribute acts, but we wanted the songs to sound fresh, because
Yeah,
they're
definitely.
being interpreted through artists, rather than just, oh yeah, I've heard that song, just that sounds just like the radio. So
Yeah.
not that every tribute band does that, but for us, that was a line we decided that we were going to hold off on. And
I guess that the problem you would have there, that, because like I said, I mean, I just spoke to Petty Theft out of San Francisco. I was talking to them a couple of weeks ago, and they don't do that. They don't dress up. They don't, they don't sort of, the lead singer doesn't try and sing like Tom. So, that would potentially be a fit. But like you said, if you were to open it up to one tribute act, you kind of have to open it up to everyone then, right? And I think, like you said, I think that by bringing in people who are not Tom Petty tribute artists to come and interpret those songs, and I like using that word interpret rather than cover, then it gives, like I said, it gives listeners something to, it's a different set of ears on this song and a different way of thinking about it and listening to it, which I think is just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way that Tom would cover songs, they would stay true to the song, but they'd be reinterpreted through the Heartbreakers. So it was very interesting to hear his cover songs. Sometimes they sounded so true to the original,
Yeah,
and yet you could definitely tell the difference.
Which was great. It was great when we got the Fillmore release, right? I mean, that was just a godsend that we got to hear all those, I don't know, whatever, 37 or 38 covers that were on that record. To sort of hear those things, and like you said, to hear, well, that's interesting, they've extended this bit, or when they do Ain't No Sunshine, Tom, I know, and it just keeps going and going and going, and you can imagine Benmont thinking he's got to come back in soon. So
yeah, I think he was thinking he's got to come back. Like, okay, I'm stuck here. Oh, that was amazing album. Oh my gosh, the greatest live rock and roll album to me of all times.
Mine, hands down for me, easily. And I was talking to a friend about this, another musician, podcaster. I said the difference between that one and a lot of live albums you get is, first of all, there are absolutely zero overdubs on that album. That is live off the soundboard. That's a band playing live. No, they've not gone back in and touched anything up in the studio. Mike's not gone and played his guitar parts again. That's really genuinely live. And the other thing is, because it's that residency, you've got so much more material to choose from, because, with one live gig, or if you record over 2 nights, you've got 23, 24, 25 songs, but they recorded all those shows, the last 6 or 7 shows, so they've got this massive wealth of material to choose from. Just an absolute game changer in terms of sort of a snapshot of a band at a certain point in time.
And for whatever reason, they were bringing in all these guests over this last 6 or 7 shows, as well as covering all these different songs. I mean, it seemed like every night must have been dramatically different than a previous night.
100%. Well, I love the story though too about John Lee Hooker, right? Because they bring John Lee Hooker, who owns a restaurant not far from the Fillmore, and someone had mentioned this. They will go down there and see if he's in. Let's see if he's home and if he wants to come and play. So he literally they drag John Lee Hooker out of his restaurant and give him a guitar and say, "Do you want to come and play on stage?" I mean, can you imagine? Like how incredible that must have been for both the band and the crowd, because it's so spontaneous.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah.
So that was amazing thing. We've got a lady that's coming from Copenhagen or somewhere there.
Wow.
She has to take a float plane to get to someplace where she can take a train to get to the airport or something like that. Wow. And that's Sue Balmino, and terrific singer-songwriter. She's coming with her other half, who plays with her, and they make a great duo. People really loved her when she came in 2019.
Nice.
And we have Daniel Champagne, who's a guitarist and a percussion player, much like Tommy Emmanuel. And he's actually from Australia. And apparently, I haven't seen him, but I've heard that he will blow you away as much as Tommy Emmanuel will. And that's amazing if indeed that's true.
That's a bold claim, right? Because I mean, Tommy Emmanuel that guy's something else. So
well, and Dave Meloche, the manager of Heartwood, he testifies to that because he brought him to Heartwood. I didn't get to see him, but he said this guy is just amazing.
Wow.
So, and then we have Bruce Katz's band. Bruce Katz played. He was a backup keyboardist for Greg Allman. So whenever Greg was just singing or playing guitar, Bruce was playing Greg Allman's keyboards.
Yeah.
And he sounds so much like the Allman Brothers keyboardist. And he's just put out an album that's getting rave reviews. So it's he's doing well, and he tours a lot. And so we're really ecstatic to bring them. And as well as we got a band called Damon Fowler, and I think that's the name of the lead guitarist singer.
Okay.
And he has, I mean, you're gonna go, whoa, this is the brother to the Allman Brothers. This is the Allman Brothers Part 2 or something. He terrific, a lead guitar player, great sound, great singer.
Yeah.
Everybody will be talking about him. And we have Keith Evelyn, who started Tom Petty Nation. Hey, here we are.
There we go.
And the official fan club, now been in existence more than 10 years. And he will be opening up the music part of Tom Petty Weekend on Friday at 4 o'clock or 4:30, something like that.
Okay.
We have Danny Roberts from Mudcrutch, the original Mudcrutch band that went out to.
Nice.
He will be playing with another local music star, Mike Bulware, and they're doing a duo on, I want to say on Sunday. We have a band, Paco and Fatwood, which includes Charlie Hardwitt, who was the lead guitar player for the band Blackfoot back in the 70s. And terrific band. Paco's terrific singer. People will be really impressed with that. A band that we thought we were going to have last year, but they had some personal problems and they broke up for a while and they came back. We've had them here before, Someday Honey with Kylie Baker, who's amazing. We have a band called the Zabuzays. And the Zabuzays are 3 women that have the most amazing harmonies. And that includes Kylie Baker and Hannah Harbor that played last year, and another lady that I haven't heard. And Dave just talks in reverent tones about the sound that they make. We have a reggae band that's going to do some Tom Petty songs, as well as some other reggae songs.
Yeah.
Called Lions of Jah. And then we have a special tribute to Tom Ledden, featuring. We're going to play a song that he performed last year at Tom Petty Weekend, which his performance last year was one for the ages. I mean, it was like, where did that come from, Tom? I mean, he had practiced the set every day for a year, right?
Wow.
He wanted to get it just perfect. And he did.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to play one of those songs, and then his brother Mark has a band and will be performing some songs. And then there's 3 girls from Nashville that Tom gave guitar lessons to for many years, and they have their band called the Bennett Hall Band. Yeah. And they will perform a few songs as well. Let's see here. Do I got everybody here? Nancy Luca actually lives and works in Los Angeles for an all-girl band. I think they play Zeppelin stuff. I can't remember their name, but she's just amazing lead guitarist that took lessons from Mike Campbell back in the day, and has broken a lot of male hearts here in town over the years. And she's going to have her band. Paul Zollo will be performing as well. He wrote Conversations with Tom Petty, but he also he's recorded with folks like Garfunkel and a number of other folks and great singers, guitarist, and songwriter. And he worked for American Songwriter magazine for a number of years as well.
And should say to people too, anyone listening who isn't aware of Paul Zollo because I reference Paul pretty much every episode because his book is the Bible on, Tom Petty's songs because Tom's words. But Paul is a phenomenal songwriter, and that duet that he does with Art Garfunkel is just beautiful. And he's got a very, very singular, unique voice. No one sounds like Paul Zollo. And such a nice guy on top of it.
They can come up with is Cat Stevens. He reminds me of Cat Stevens. He's more warble in his voice.
Yeah,
but definitely the kind of same sound and same tone, and which is not it was certainly a strong compliment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, and that kicks off. And we also have bands I want to mention. The Couch Messiahs, a local band, very, very talented. The Shambles. They've performed every year because the owner of the facility is in the band. And but having said that, this is not a band to be trifled with. Their stock and trade is Steely Dan covers. And
so they can play then.
Well, and they have a guitarist that plays a Jeff Beck cover, When We Were Lovers. This is a serious band.
Yeah.
And very, very talented players. Another band called Lonely Worm, the Lowly Worm. Yep. And I've heard really good things about them. A great rocking band. And then we have Storytellers. I don't know if he's going to make it because the last I heard he was in ICU and not doing well, but is Bradley Epstein, Howie's younger brother. That I think he was wild back in the day.
Those Epstein boys.
Yeah, I think he's straightened up a decent amount and wants to tell some great stories. We have Paul Zollo that he's gone through his Conversation with Tom Petty, Volume 2, the extended version. Yeah. Well, he went through those notes. And he said, "Oh my God, I've got so many stories that I've never told anyone." So he's going to bring these never been told before stories to storytelling. We have Charlie Souza, who was a member of, he played with Tom for 6 or 7 months at Leon Russell's recording studio.
Yeah.
I think at least a couple songs that got recorded that are on the anthology, maybe, or something.
Well,
he mentions like that.
Yeah, there's one song, I can't remember which one it is. He plays on, I think, Hometown Blues. I think he plays sax on the original, on the debut record. Definitely, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yep. And Jake Thistle and Jeff Slate have some stories to tell, so they're going to come and tell some stories. Bob Keeling's going to talk about his new book, Good Day, Sunshine State, which is about, it's like, well, he's going to be talking about the Beatles. Well, what does that have to do with Tom Petty? Well, in one of the chapters in the book, he talks about the impact of the Beatles on Tom Petty and other people in town. But the book is an amazing tale of, he's focusing on Florida because the Beatles spent 2 weeks in Florida, longer than any other state while they were a group.
Yeah.
Right. And it was their third appearance in America was in Miami. And the detail he brings, it really gives you a sense of how crazy it must have been back then.
it's incredible to think about, and we'll just have a detour again because I'm a huge Beatles fan as well. And you think about really as a band, once they got a record contract and they released, and with the Beatles in 1963, that's when the world changes in rock and roll because of the Beatles. But you think really they only toured up until I think 67 was their last show or something like that, because 66. So because they just couldn't hear them, they couldn't hear themselves play because they're just the screaming. And the fans, and McCartney said in an interview, he said, well, we realized at a point that they're not listening to the music. They just want to come and see us, which is fine. But he said that's just difficult to deal with as a band when you can't hear what's going on, right? So,
yeah, in all fairness, the equipment wasn't up to what they needed it to be. I mean, because nowadays, if the crowd's getting, they just turn up the PA system and
absolutely.
It's over. So it was highly unfortunate that we were robbed of some great recordings of them playing live, and I was just reading a story about how in 74 May Pang was really instrumental, and John was really interested in getting the band back together. And it just couldn't work out their schedules. So
you talk about sound, though. Obviously, one of the things that you have in Gainesville is this fantastic building, the Heartwood Soundstage, and you're going to have the outdoor stage, but you're going to have some stuff inside as well. What's the sound like in there? Is it pretty good?
Inside Heartwood Soundstage?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have two recordings, two performing spaces, and one is indoor. It's very intimate. It's seats maybe 100 people comfortably. We can get more, but it starts getting a little crowded. But it was designed by musicians for musicians. It's got this almost perfect acoustics. Right. I mean, there isn't a bad place to sit. I mean, I like to sit in the back row because it's just as comfortable as the front, and the sound is perfect. On the other hand, you can sit in the front row, and I sat in the front row for Someday Honey once, and I was eating some popcorn, and Kylie Baker said, "Hey, can I have some?" And sure, because that's how close I was.
Oh my! And so outside, then talk about maybe what the setup is outside, because you have like the main stage out there, and you've got a really nice sort of enclosed space. I've seen photos of it. It looks like a really great space because it's sort of surrounded by trees, and it's, even though it's outside, it still seems like it's quite intimate still.
It feels like a park. It really does. We have about an acre green space, but we have other space off to the sides. So you don't want to be around that many people. You can definitely get off to the side and still hear the band terrific.
Yeah.
We just got a top of the line LD acoustic speakers and subwoofers and amplifiers that the subwoofers are 2 units with 3 18-inch speakers inside.
Holy moly.
And the sound from this system, I can't express it strong enough. It's just like you've never heard whatever we're playing, you've never heard it that good.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's just amazing. So we have incredible sound inside, incredible sound outside. I mean, mouth-watering, bragging rights, amazing stuff. We debuted last year with them, and people just raved about their. The thing about it is, if you do something right, they don't necessarily come back and go, "Oh, the sound was great. Oh, the park light atmosphere, and oh, the beer was cold, and oh." They just know they had a great time.
Yeah, and
that's when you know you did it right. That they're not going, "Oh, everything was great, but the beer was lousy," or whatever it was. You don't want to. You can't fail on anything. You've got to do it all so well that it just falls to the side, and they get to experience the performance.
Yeah,
and so we are excited to announce that we have Sirius XM channel 31, Tom Petty channel, Mark Felsot and one of his assistants coming to do live and packages. Live, I don't know, you don't call it broadcast, it's live cast. We'll just call it live cast.
Right.
And And so we're really excited about that. The family has gotten behind this festival.
Yeah.
And it's an official Tom Petty Nation festival. And the other thing is that we have the Tom Petty Wildflowers and all the rest exhibit that was featured at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is at the Cade Museum, which literally is, a 5-iron away from Heartwood. I mean, it's just across the street kind of thing, right?
Is that you with a 5-iron or me with a 5-iron, Dan? Because I'm guarantee you that me and you don't hit a 5-iron the same.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway, maybe it's a driver. I don't know. But it's a very close walk. And anybody that buys a ticket gets they can get 2 for 1 at the museum, right?
Nice.
So anyway, so you got some friends in town that didn't want to hear the music but want to go see the museum. You get to buy extra tickets. So
nice. And so I believe that's where the VIP reception is on the Thursday, right?
Yeah. Right there, we're going to be right in that space. I think maybe it's like half a floor up or something, but we're right there, and you're going to be able to wander around and look at the exhibit. By the way, let's see here. Today's Saturday. Thursday, Chris Stapleton was in town visiting that exhibit. He posted it on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
He said Wildflowers is his favorite album of all time.
The man's got good taste.
Yeah. So, if Chris decided to make the trip to Gainesville, I want to encourage everybody out there that hears this podcast.
Yeah.
If you can make it, I promise you will have an amazing time.
And I believe isn't that running from, it's there till December or
December? Yes,
yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing is, if you click on the, doesn't matter if you're not getting VIP tickets, but if you click on the VIP tickets and you scroll down to the bottom, there's a get hotel rooms button, and you can get, we worked out roughly $150 a night.
Which is unbelievable for a
good price. And this is hotels 4 and 6 blocks away. They're walking distance.
Yeah. Really
nice hotels or around numerous other restaurants and different things. So it's right in the heart of downtown. So it's we got it set up pretty good, but we have a lot of things to do.
Yes. I was going to ask you about that then, Dan, too, because I know that obviously you're the producer and all this falls ultimately with, it's your job to make sure all these moving parts come together. But tell me a little bit about the team of people, because obviously, one man cannot be an island and you can't do all this on your own. What kind of team do you have pulling some of this stuff together?
Well, the manager of Heartwood is there's 2 executive producers, and Dave Malosh, the manager of Heartwood, is one, and the other is Ho Chitama, who owns most of the property anyway. And we have an intern from UF that's helping with marketing, Tessa Fuller.
Okay.
And that's it. That's pretty much it. There's
a small team.
It's a small team, yeah. Because you have to remember that yes, we're charging a decent amount for tickets.
Yeah.
We really try to give people a very good value for their money, because we recognize how hard money is to get, and you don't want to waste it on things. But we have yet to we're way behind in the profit and loss margin. So we're definitely in the loss over since we started doing this. And so it's not like and I don't get paid.
Yeah.
Right. I've never gotten paid. I'm just doing this as a volunteer thing. It's what I'm doing during my retirement. Some people pick weeds, start a garden. Not that there's anything wrong with running a garden. So, but it's a bit of a mom and pop situation, but it's done with great earnestness and love, and I think it gets the people that come really pick up on it.
Well, and I think it strikes me that it has to be a really well run event, because first of all, you get a lot of people who come back, like a lot of attendees who come back, but also you're getting musicians to come back down year after year after year. And if it's a badly run festival, musicians don't want any part of that either, right? Because the worst thing is if you're a musician, if everything's disorganized or the stage isn't right or the sound isn't right or the, everything. So it sounds like everything runs, pretty smoothly. And like you said, you had a band last year that couldn't end up playing or whatever, but you always seem to adapt and you always seem to make sure that this weekend is a great experience for everyone, the artists and the attendees alike.
We make it a priority. I mean, not just the attendees, but the artists. I mean, I know the joke is that that bands are still getting $400 a night, much like they were in 1973 or something. They're the least paid professional that I know of, almost. It's
100%.
It part of it is the immense wealth we have of recorded music now that we can call up with our phone anywhere we want, right? That's part of the problem. And part of it is that the Beatles and other early rock bands have birthed thousands of unbelievable musicians, so that almost anywhere you go, you can hear a great band, maybe not unbelievable, but solid. And so that really hurts with that. But there's people go to a lot of big rock festivals, and why not this one? So it's unique because it's a tribute to Tom.
Yeah.
But we think it's really important to recognize him in his hometown. He'd always mention Gainesville in every interview he'd do. And I'm just an old country boy from Gainesville, Florida.
And that's one of the reasons that people come down there too, though, right? Because, and again, that's why one of the reasons I want to come down is for the festival, but also I want to see where Tom grew up. I want to see Lillian's music store. I want to see the house he grew up in. I want to go visit the park that's named after him. So is there anything where people can maybe sort of get a guided tour, or is there anything sort of tied into, landmarks or things like that that's going on over the weekend?
We intend, there's a lady in town that I believe she's going to be leading some tours. It's very limited availability. The bus we have is holds 22 or something. And the tour takes, an hour and a half, something like that. So, but the thing about it is that if you just Google, Tom Petty Gainesville, tour or something like that, you're going to find a lot of information.
Yeah.
From where Ben Montench grew up, to you might find Jane Petty where she grew up.
Yeah.
But it is very powerful to stand, in front of his house, even if it's on the street. You don't have to be in the house, but or at the park. There's some monkey bars there that Tom Ledden told me him and Tom and Jane just sat on those monkey bars for 3 hours one night just talking.
And they're still there.
Bars, they're still there. So, wow. So there's that kind of stuff. He definitely, if you go to the Clock Restaurant, he went to the Clock Restaurant, which is on Main Street. He went there numerous times. So his ghost is still there. I mean, you still feel his vibes. That's really a big reason. I mean, it's amazing how people that maybe never bought a Tom Petty record, or maybe never went and saw him live, feel an immense pride that they live in a town that he grew up in, that he came from, that influenced the way it did. So we have a lot of people that are very happy that that Tom came from here, and then we're honoring him.
Well, it's fantastic too that the Gators, the Florida Gators, now they always play "I Won't Back Down." That's part of the thing, and they've got a tie-in now with the Gators and Tom Petty as a sort of a Gainesville's son, Gainesville's his favorite son, and whatever. And so like you said, that community sense of this artist is one of us. I think that it does come across, and like you said, Tom always loved Gainesville. He moved away because he recognized that you can't sort of be in the music biz at that level in Gainesville. You kind of have to be in LA or you have to be somewhere else. But his heart was always there, right? And a part of him always stayed in Gainesville, and I think that comes across as very sincere and very authentic.
And I've heard stories that he would return, and he always loved to return. He always loved Gainesville. I'm sure he was limited by, he didn't want to get mobbed by fans, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. His legacy is amazing. 85 million records he sold, something like that. He was a member of the Wilburys.
He was Bob Dylan's band. He was in Johnny Cash's band. I mean, the guy was just, it was just something else. So did you, I can't remember whether I asked you this last time, Dan, were you at the homecoming show when I think 2006, whatever it was, when he played back in Gainesville, the concert that ended up on the Running Down a Dream documentary? Were you at that show?
I was at that show.
Oh,
yeah.
Man alive. I would have, that's one, on my show, I always ask if you could go back to any Tom Petty concert and see it. That's one of my top 3. I would have loved to have been at that one because you could feel the love coming from the stage and the crowd.
Well, you definitely could feel the love. It was, the thing about it was my first time seeing him. So I'm going,
oh, wow.
I guess this is normal. It's like, but the thing about it is Robert Scoville, he was the genius behind how it sounded.
Okay.
Now, I've gone to numerous concerts, including Bob Dylan a couple of times, Elton John, a number of other big bands in this space called the O'Connell Center.
Okay.
No one sounded good there. Tom Petty sounded unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you do that? Right. And so that was really cool. To go to a concert there where the sound was great.
Yeah.
Let alone it was Tom Petty. And then Stevie Nicks comes out and sings some songs. It's like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
Well, when he sings Southern accents in that, because that's one of the reasons I would want to be there. Because when he sings Southern accents to that crowd, that connection is different to singing that anywhere else in the world, right? That's because that's what he's singing about. He's singing about here. He's singing about home in the South.
Right. Yeah.
Just beautiful.
Yeah. And then I got to go see him in Tampa in 2014.
Nice.
And that was a great concert too. But the one, I mean, who knew that this concert in Gainesville, I mean, Sirius XM plays it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you picked them up, but it's like every time I turn on the radio, oh, there's another song from Gainesville.
Yeah. Well, like I said, because the sound was so good, and the band was on, right? You can tell the band is really, really up for that. It's everyone's firing on all cylinders. There's not a drop note that whole night. Like, it's just one of those special lightning in the bottle kind of moments that of course you're going to play it. So yeah.
Now, in all fairness, I think they were more on fire, when they did that collection in '97.
The Fillmore, that's a special type of thing, but
but it was incredible. It was really good. We really want to encourage people to come, and we think that we're going to provide a tremendous amount of entertainment for a few dollars.
Yeah.
And Tom Petty Nation, it's there's a code, and it's TP Nation 23. And you enter that in the slot when you go buy a general admission ticket, you get $15 off. So
which brings it down to $35. I mean, $35 for a weekend of music, that's peanuts. Like you said, I mean, you said you're charging, but that's nothing. I mean, we have the jazz festival here in Saskatoon. You're going to pay $65 for one day. So, I mean, the amount that you guys are charging is, I mean, you really are just covering costs. Maybe you'll make back some of your costs.
Oh, no, right? I may be buying the second most expensive concert ticket of all time. So, yeah, if we lose money, it's on me. So,
yeah.
So please come.
And so this is also I believe is being supported by the Visit Gainesville, the Alachua.
Visit Gainesville and Meldon Law, local attorneys that are very talented, and the Hampton Inn and the Hyatt Hotel are also sponsors, as well as Akira Wood, which is the company that is right next to us and Tama owns. So they're sponsoring. We're going to have some more sponsors. We just don't have them down yet.
Yeah,
but we're going to be doing that in the next week or two.
So, but let's talk about something really important as well. What does the bar look like? Are we getting Dogfish Head Brewery? Are we getting some Cigar City because they're in Florida? What kind of beer have you got, or is it just the big stuff?
Well, now you haven't been to Florida, so you've never tasted Swamp Head. And
No.
Swamp Head is the first microbrewery in town, and they have some amazing beers. We also have another local microbrewery in town called First Magnitude,
Okay.
and they have some great beers. So, and then Stella Troy, and Pabst Blue Ribbon, I think we carry. And there's another couple in there, but no, I don't think we'll have any Cigar City or Dogfish Head.
Okay.
We want people to be able to drive home. So,
well, they should just get a hotel room. Get a hotel room, and then you can enjoy. You can sample all the local stuff. Yeah. So, what time does it usually start then, Dan? What time? When does the day begin?
Friday it starts at 12:15 or 12:30, with storytelling for 4 hours, almost, and then music till 11, and starting at 4. Saturday is starting at 2:15, something around there, and going to 11. And then a Sunday is starting at noon, I think, and going to about 7.
Wow. So that's just a full weekend of music, fun, meeting people. I'm sure there's there's lots of people probably in the Tom Petty Nation who come down who have only seen each other online. And so again, it's this idea of community and bringing people together through Tom's music is such a beautiful thing that I'm sure he would have just loved, right?
I think he would have really loved it. And one of these days, Adria hopefully will be there, and Dana will be there, and Jane will be there, but we'll and Grinner will be there.
Yeah.
And the Dirty Knobs will perform someday.
Yeah.
Someday, but I actually think I don't, they probably all too old now to do it, but I think the Heartbreakers could get together with Jake Thistle as the lead singer and not skip a beat.
Oh my God, I would break my bank to come and see, because that would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be?
Oh yeah. My Lord.
Yeah.
And what a guy to do it too. I mean, this kid's got the voice of an angel. He's just released a new single, Brooklyn Can Wait, is phenomenal. And he's such a very grounded, this kid's 18 still. It blows my mind that this kid is a teenager still. He's in his first year at Rutgers. It's like,
might be 19.
19, sorry, now, yeah. I think he's 19, yeah, I know you're right.
Let's not cut him, at this age, a year makes a big difference, right?
Yeah. Apologies, Jake, apologies, yeah. No, he's 19, yeah. But still, I mean, good Lord. I've got T-shirts that are 19 years old, Dan.
I can't say enough about Jake Thistle. I can't. He's blown us away a number of times. His newest single is outrageous. Jeff Slate just told me, he said that because Jake will come down from New Jersey and play with Jeff in New York with his band.
Yeah.
And they do a number of things to raise money for nonprofits and or as a remembrance for somebody or whatever, Bruce Springsteen, Tom, that kind of stuff. And he said every time Jake comes and plays with his band, he's better. He's better than he was last time. He's like, how did he get better? How did he get that much better than last time? He's that much better than every time.
Yeah.
Jeff, who's interviewed practically every rock star you can imagine, and has seen almost most of them live, it is blown away by Jake. So I expect great things out of him. And
and just to throw a little bit of love to Jeff as well, because it would be easy for someone like Jeff, who's been around for a long time and he's played 1 million gigs, to be jealous of that. He could be thinking, well, this young upstart keeps getting better and better and better. But what I love about that is that Jeff adores that. He loves that he keeps getting better, and he loves that he gets to play with him, and he loves the music that they make together. And I think that's a really cool thing. Again, that's that idea that you play music because you love it. And of course, you do want to get paid because, as we talked about, artists aren't paid enough. But it's that love of playing music, and it's almost like the Wilburys thing. I was bugging Jake and Jeff that they should form a supergroup at some point, because I think those two together would be fantastic as well. So,
well, this year you'll get a chance to hear that, because when Jake comes up to play, he's going to be playing with Jeff and his band.
Yeah.
And well, first it'll be Jeff and his band playing, and Jake will come in on some songs, and then Jake will take over.
Yeah.
And so it'll be kind of like that, a super group.
Yeah.
And that's what we specialize in. Our all-star sets. We've got 2 all-star sets, Friday and Saturday. And Saturday, the band will be Slate's band. Will be backing up, and we'll pick singers from throughout the day, or maybe from another day they'll get 2 songs, 1 or 2 songs, and we'll play for an hour. And so we will, if you want the hits, wait for that last hour or so, and you'll hear them. We promise. And you'll hear them performed incredibly well. And the band that's backing up Friday they did the All-Star on last year on the last day.
Okay.
And that people are still talking about. I mean, it was an amazing hour.
Yeah.
Tom Ledden came up, Nancy Luca came up, Shine came up, Hannah Harbor came up. It was they were just they killed it. They killed it.
And that's one other thing I'll just kind of say as well, is that I love that you do spotlight female artists just as much as male artists. And I've talked about that on the podcast with a couple of people. Tom was one of those unusual rockers who came out of the 70s, 80s, who didn't use women as props in his music, wasn't sort of, the themes weren't sort of, using women in his lyrics. He was very respectful of women, and all the women in his life meant a lot to him. So I love that this festival celebrates, it's the diversity of it. You've got different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different, men and women. So all in this melting pot, just celebrating music together, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, man.
Thank you. It's one of those things where, you can do things all your life and they don't work out, or they don't go as well as you like. And then you come across something and it just works. It's not you. It's just that you're at the right place at the right time with the right people, doing the right thing. And this is, my job is just deal with the little insignificant things that you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but if they're not there, it becomes a big deal. So it's actually the boring, monotonous part of the job, but you got to do, right? So, like make sure there's enough beer, that kind of stuff. Do we order the LCD screen, that kind of thing.
And so people, you hear that, and my listeners, and I know that some of the people who listen to this will be in Gainesville, make sure you go say thank you to Dan, because none of this runs without, and again, doing this off, just volunteering to do this is just an incredible thing to do for the Gainesville community, for the Tom Petty community, and for the music community at large. So from all of us as fans, thank you so much for putting this on every year and making sure that it's one of the landmark events in everyone's year, right? It's something that everyone looks forward to. Even if they're not going, they look forward to seeing the photos and listening to the stories about people who did get to go. So thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to do it. And I picked up a guitar right when the Beatles first came over. I mean, I heard She Loves You in September of 63 on a Chicago radio station, and was totally like, what the heck is that? And that was like, I was 10, right? It was maybe, maybe I was 11. No, I think I was 10. And I'd gotten a transistor radio for my birthday, which is the 21st of September. So it was like, and then I hear this band from outer space, it's like, what the hell is that? And, but, when I picked up a guitar, some people are musical and some people aren't, and I'm not one of those, right. I can make some sounds, I can do it okay, but I'll never be good. I'll never be, someone you'd go pay to see. But this way I get to be involved with bands. I get to, be involved in the whole process. Yeah. And so I get some satisfaction from that, Yeah, definitely. It's that thing that, and again, a festival like this and music in general, it does unify people. It never divides people. It should never divide. Good music should never divide people. It should only ever unite people. And I think, again, that this festival, this idea of bringing this community together, I was talking to you last time about this, but when our aborted conversation, I don't think there's a comparable
festival like this for any other artist. You know, Springsteen, Dylan, the Beatles, ABBA. I mean, pick any of these massive. I don't think there's a festival that celebrates the life and work of an artist the way that you do this weekend for Tom. So it's a really unique event in world music.
It seems like it. It seems like it, and partly because we're doing it in his hometown.
Yeah,
and that mentioned his hometown, that his music reflected his hometown, and that I mean, Bruce's music reflected New Jersey, not so much the town he grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know his music that well, but I'd be hard pressed. The Cars, I don't remember them coming from a particular place. They might have, Chicago came from Chicago. But you don't see tribute. It'd be really hard to do a tribute concert to Chicago.
Oh my God. And long. It would have to be so long.
Well, and they would have to you'd have to, every band would have to have horns, right? Kind of thing. So or maybe but anyway, yeah, it is unique. And it's like right now, well, it's a 5-year-old child, it's or a 6-year-old child. This would be 6 year, minus a couple for COVID. But it feels more like you're managing a young child. It's still not, I keep waiting for the time where I can walk away and it's going to keep going. Right. And it's nowhere near that. But I feel like it's a really good thing for the town, a really good thing for the fans, a really good thing for the memory of Tom. So it goes back to, we talked about it at one point, maybe last year, about Liverpool, how Liverpool has really become a much better place to live because of all the Beatles tourism. Yeah. And so if that's what ends up happening out of this, in a long-term basis, beyond the fact that it needs to definitely be in good taste in remembering Tom. Yeah. Then why not? Wouldn't it be great if we had a healthy tourism coming to Gainesville because of Tom?
Absolutely.
So we'll see. I mean, it's coming together. Tom Petty Day this year at the football stadium is September 23rd. Okay. It's not the week before. I was kind of hoping it would be, but it's not. But that's huge. And I don't know if you noticed, they sent out, they're selling merchandise specifically for that day that will raise funds for some nonprofits in town. And they, so that's a huge deal. And then having the Cade Museum host one of these exhibits, that's my goal. I mean, that's my dream, I think, is that we have a museum that people can go and visit, and they can go visit at the house, and they go visit at the park, and they see the murals, and there's something to do that brings them there for 2 or 3 days. Right. You could probably find Beatles music live somewhere in Liverpool on any given day, if not 100%. Half a dozen, right? Yeah. So
okay, so let's wrap up official on the recording anyway, and say where can people find tickets, and what are the dates again?
All right, people can get tickets at tompettyweekend.com. Real easy, tompettyweekend.com, and you'll have 2 buttons: get VIP tickets or get general admission tickets. And then, like I said earlier, if you want to get a good deal on hotel rooms, click on the VIP ticket page and go down to the bottom, and there's a link to get a great deal on hotel rooms. There's a limited number available, so if you're going to come, do it quick. And then we have 3 VIP tickets, 3 levels, and each one progresses in what you get, not just swag, but experience and food, beer, that kind of thing. So
and you've got some pretty cool swag this year, I believe.
We have official gear. That's some of it is official. It's coming right out of the store, the tompetty.com store. but it was all designed by the folks at Tom Petty store, and it looks like pretty cool swag to me. You know, it's there's a zip up hoodie that comes with the diamond ticket holders, so that you know, I thought I want to do something really nice for these guys, you know, really nice. So that was what we, you know, because normally, I mean, everyone gets a t-shirt, but this is hoodie, you know, this is a sweatshirt with a zip and all that stuff, you know, the perfect cold weather stuff, you know. Of course, for you, that would be on a summer day, you'd have your sweatshirt on. But I know about that.
It's hot as hell up here at the moment. What is the weather going to be like, actually? How should people dress in Florida in October?
We have seen everything. We've seen cold weather. We've seen hot weather. We've seen tropical depression. And
bring a little bit of everything.
Already going down. 1st of September, which is a really good sign for us, we think, because from the 1st of October to the middle to October 1st, somewhere in there is when the temperature breaks, the summer heat. And the sooner it does, the cooler it'll be in late October. And it started in early September. So we're like, that's a good sign.
It's good. Right.
Yeah. No, I suspect it's going to be a high in the low 80s, low in the upper 60s. It's going to be, it could even be nicer than that. It could be like upper 70s.
Perfect outdoor weather.
More than likely it's going to be that, but it could be a touch on the warm side. It could be a touch on the cool side or the rainy side. It's rain or shine. It's a rain or shine event. So we have to pay the musicians either way. Yeah. So might as well show up and put on your poncho. So, I mean, I'd bring one just so you have one, you know, but
just a little bit. It's a little bit of water. You won't melt.
Well, we're not in our rainy part of our season at all.
Right.
It's the tropical depression, hurricane crap that's what could affect us. That's and historically that was really rare for us to have one that we had one in 2019. 2019. So that was that one was we almost didn't get off the last day. You know, we were almost ready to cancel the first 3-4 hours, and not sure we'd ever raise the stage. We had to raise the stage, and we saw a break at like 12:30. It's like, I think we can pull this off. So raise this, because it took 2 hours to get the stage up, and then another hour to get it ready. And so it was 3 hours. You knew you couldn't do anything for 3 hours, and then if we had to start bringing it back down again, you had to repeat that whole process. So it's like, God, I hope this is the right way. But it turned out great. So we got it in. But the last Southern accents played in rain, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
But people stayed. They loved it.
That's just rain. I'm from England. Rain is part. That's how it rained through. I think it rained until I was about 16, nonstop. So, you know.
I know of at least 2 guys coming from England that Derek Sanders has been there like this is 3rd or 4th year.
Okay.
He loves it. He thinks it's the greatest. And another fellow, Joe, I can't remember his last name, but Joe is coming. He goes, look out for me and say hello. And I'm like, well, I hope I can recognize you. Okay. If he's got that same Australian kind of hat, I should be able to find him. So.
Fantastic. Okay, well, look, people, if you're, like I said, if you go into the festival, please do find Dan and say hello and say thank you for putting this on. And just more than anything, I'll have fun down there. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the photos. I'm looking forward to hearing all the stories and from the weekend and seeing the posts from the musicians, because that's always a blast. Dan, thank you so much for touching base again and being on the show. I think we'll do this every year, and we'll just keep letting people know what's going on at the Tom Petty weekend, because it's an important event in everyone's calendars. So thank you very much. Well,
thank you, Kevin. Your podcast is terrific, and I appreciate all you do to keep Tom's memories going, and doing these deep dives into his songs. I mean, it's impressive. it's amazing how much you can discover in a song.
Yeah.
And you're proving it. So it's pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much.
So yeah. I'm looking forward to meeting you next year.
I'm coming down next year, Hello High Water. Like I said, I've started my slush fund now. It's going to be full by the time I get round to next year. I will be there next year. No question. So
all right. Sounds
we'll
good.
raise a glass. So
take care. We will.
okay. Thanks so much, Dan.
Looking forward. All right. Take care, Kevin.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.